Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of our Open Mic program. We do have Senator Tom Cotton with day number 2. And Senator, thanks so much for taking time and talking with us.
Yeah, Bob, it's good to be back on with you.
Senator, you met with President Trump's nominee to the Supreme Court, Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Can you tell us about your thoughts on her personally and her appointment?
Well, we had a great meeting and great conversation, Bob, and I saw up close and in greater depth what the American people saw last week at her confirmation hearing. Judge Barrett is brilliant. She's deeply learned and knowledgeable in the law. She handles herself with grace and poise. She's exactly the kind of judge our Kansans want on our courts. It's too bad that the Senate Judiciary Committee voted on party lines to forward her nomination to the whole Senate, because she should have been voted out unanimously, or at least with substantial Democratic support. But the Democrats are going to dig in their heels on any nominee at this point, and they've opposed almost all of the president's nominees to all the courts. No matter, on Monday, it's my expectation that we will have a vote in the Senate as a whole and that we will confirm Judge Barrett to be Justice Barrett.
The thing that came out of this hearing that the Democrat Senator Feinstein got in some trouble because she kind of praised the proceedings. What is your thought on that? That's kind of surprising.
Well, it goes to show you how radical the Democratic left has become, that they are attacking Senator Feinstein, the senior Democrat on the Judiciary Committee. I don't know, I guess because she didn't, attack Judge Barrett's faith again the way she did 3 years ago in her confirmation hearing for the Court of Appeals. Or, I don't know, maybe accuse her of running a high school drug dealing and gang rape ring, which is what the Democrats bizarrely accused Brett Kavanaugh of doing 2 years ago. The fact that she asked tough but fair questions about Judge Barrett's judicial philosophy and thanked Lindsey Graham, the chairman of the committee, afterwards, is apparently a sin in the left's eyes, for which she has to be removed from her committee post. Now, I'll leave that up to the Democrats to make their decisions, but it's a reminder of the stakes of this election, of what the Democratic left is going to do if they win control of the Senate and the White House. It's not going to be moderates. It's not going to be people like Joe Biden with his fake moderate rhetoric in charge. It's going to be people like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who are calling the shots in that party.
Well, you introduced the Preserving Access to Cost-Effective Drugs, an act. Tell us about this act.
Bob, some of the gimmicks that these big drug companies use to keep their patents valid are really beyond the pale. Look, the reason we have patents and copyrights and trademarks is that we want to reward innovation and creativity. That's what our founding fathers wrote into the Constitution. But you only get a certain amount of time to recoup your investments in those things, and then patents expire. And in drugs, for instance, you get generic drugs. And I fought for a long time to get more generic drugs to market faster, because it's clear that our Kansans pay less for all drugs, to include prescription drugs, when they have the choice of generics. But again, these drug companies, they don't just employ medical researchers and scientists and doctors. They employ a lot of lawyers, and these lawyers are very clever. So in one case, a company had sold its patent to an Indian tribe. Let's just say the Indian tribe didn't have a lot of experience in high-end drug research and production. But what they did have, like all Indian tribes, is immunity from lawsuits in federal courts. So the drug company sold the rights to its patent to a Indian tribe, and then the Indian tribe immediately leased it back to them. And then when generic drug manufacturers sued to invalidate the patent after it had expired, they claimed that they couldn't be sued because it was held by an Indian tribe. Now, fortunately, the courts rejected that, but I wanted to write into law that we were never going to have that kind of gamesmanship in our patent system again. We want to reward inventors and researchers. We don't want to reward companies because they have smart, clever lawyers.
That's true. And another thing I noticed that you and Congressman Rick Crawford introduced a bill to protect American agriculture from Chinese espionage. And this is something that's very important as well.
Yeah, Bob, the tentacles of Chinese espionage reach into every corner of our society, into every state. And one of the big priorities of the Chinese Communist Party is advanced agricultural research. They can't feed their own people, and that's a big source of potential instability or political unrest. And the Chinese Communist Party has one goal above all else, which is maintaining control and its dominance in Chinese society. And therefore, they are always on the lookout for advances in biotech and agricultural sciences. There is an open indictment in Arkansas in federal court for Chinese nationals who stole innovation and research into rice genomes. Now, we're probably not going to be able to prosecute that case because they absconded back to mainland China. What we need to do, though, is to prevent that on the front end. That's why Rick and I believe the Department of Agriculture needs a small intelligence cell inside of it to work with the big intelligence agency like the CIA and the National Security Agency, so they are aware of these threats and they can help communicate them out through the rest of the Department of Agriculture's offices and employees to protect our farmers and our foresters and our ranchers from the threat of Chinese espionage. It won't be a big cost, but it'll be a big payoff.
Well, Senator, as always, thanks for updating us what's going on in D.C. and here at home.
All right. Thanks very much, Bob. Good to be on with you.